Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin just invalidated this short-term price pattern. But while this is happening, we're still seeing liquidity building just above the price of Bitcoin that we cannot ignore, alongside Ethereum forming a new price pattern in the immediate short term, which could set up new price targets, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside XRP, which is now once again retesting this very important area of support on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the superchain indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger bear market or larger correction in the price of Bitcoin. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence, technically still active, still playing out. So overall, the larger multi-month trend is technically still bearish, still not looking good on the larger timeframes. But of course, it is worth pointing out that we're still in oversold here in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. And if we're looking at the last time we hit oversold in the weekly Bitcoin RSI, that was around the middle of 2022, not necessarily the end of that bear market. We still ultimately went a bit lower later on, but just in the shorter term, we did slow down all of that bearish price action and have a bit of a relief. So keep that in mind. That's a possibility, but overall, still not in the clear yet if we're talking about the larger bearish trend. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart in the somewhat shorter term, if we're talking about a period of weeks, of course, we're still basically just consolidating between support and resistance, which is to be expected. Of course, we're playing out an oversold signal on the 3-day Bitcoin RSI, which I've been talking about every day for roughly 2 weeks or so. And so once again, as I've been saying, basically every day since we formed this local low right here, we're most likely going to see either a very slight bullish relief, which we saw initially with that bounce, but honestly, most likely a lot of choppy sideways price action, kind of just bouncing around relatively sideways in a sideways price range is a very likely scenario if we're talking about a period of weeks, maybe a couple of weeks, kind of like what we saw just here. For example, we're bouncing around in a bit of a sideways price range, which was occurring during the much larger multi-month bearish trend. And so obviously not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this chart. So without wasting your time, getting straight into the shorter term, looking at the 2-hour Bitcoin price chart. And it's safe to say that this bullish divergence is starting to lose relevance now. Obviously, it's already played out very nicely here for a couple of days. It's now been about 3 days since this bullish divergence confirmed. And for especially the first 2 days, it's been playing out very nicely here in the form of just a slight bullish relief with a bit of choppy sideways price action, which is exactly what I've been predicting over the last few days, obviously, because that's really the most common outcome from a bullish divergence. But as I've also been saying throughout all of this price action here, yes, we're likely going to see just a slight little relief, a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action, maybe over a couple of days. But while that is playing out, we have to understand the difference between the different timeframes. Just because this is playing out on the 2-hour chart, it does not mean the end of the larger bearish trend on the larger time frame. So keep that in mind. Understand the difference between the different time frames. And of course, over the last 1 day, we've also now officially invalidated this previous inverse head and shoulders pattern. Obviously, we had an inverse head and shoulders pattern here, as we can see, and then we saw a confirmed breakout, and then we saw a confirmed break back to the downside below the neckline, which was sitting at roughly 68.1k, give or take. And then obviously we broke to the downside, saw multiple candle closes below that level, and actually failed to get back above that level. We flipped that back into resistance after first breaking out towards the upside, which therefore invalidates the breakout and invalidates the price pattern and the price target for this pattern. And so obviously this is now completely invalidated, but while this has been invalidated, once again, we're still in a bit of a sideways price range, especially here on the 3-day chart. We can really see that on the 2-hour time frame. Obviously short-term bullish moves, short-term bearish moves, but overall making up a bit of a sideways price range, as we can see, chopping around sideways. And while that's still the case, and even if this invalidation has occurred, we technically still have liquidity building above the price of Bitcoin in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. Looking at the last 1 week worth of price action, we can still see that level sitting at around 68.7 to 68.8k. And so this tells us that there's still a strong probability, a high probability, as always, no such thing as a guarantee, but there's still a high probability, a good chance that the price could ultimately hit that level within the next few days or so, talking about just shorter term moves. moves here. Now, obviously, if we're talking about this level at 68.7 to 68.8k, that's only sitting right around here. So we're not necessarily talking about a huge move in the price chart, but keep that in mind. That's still a price target to pay attention to based on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. And potentially this will depend on how the US stock market performs in the new week when the stock market opens back up again. But honestly, between now and when the US stock market opens back up again, so over the next 1 day or so, honestly, I do continue to expect a lot of choppy sideways price action in the shorter term. Basically, this little pullback here starting to slow down, but not necessarily having a huge bullish move, kind of basically following the same price action we've seen over the last couple of days is very likely going to happen moving forward, at least over the next 1 day. And then once again, if the US stock market opens and it's bullish, then we could likely move towards this liquidity, maybe in a couple of days from now, for example. But overall, still in this sideways price range, which is also visible here on the 3-day time frame, bouncing between support and resistance levels, which have not changed over the last 1 day. But if you want to get set up ready to go to take the next trading opportunity, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the first link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, that link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the BTNX crypto exchange, which is an exchange that I personally use myself. And by the way, it's also a no KYC exchange. And just by simply making your account using that link below the video to BTNX, the first link below the video, as you can see on this page, there's an exclusive prize pool of up to 50,000 USDT to be won simply just by trading crypto using that first link below the video to BTNX. So obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out and take advantage of this. Once again, first link below the video. And once again, in case you're wondering, BTNX is indeed a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I personally also use myself, which is also a no KYC exchange, then in that situation, check out the second link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, which once again is also a no KYC exchange. And just by trading crypto using that link below the video to 2bit, there's up to an 800,000 USD prize pool here to be won simply just by trading crypto using that link below the video. So if you want to check this out for yourself, take a look at all of this information, take advantage of potentially major prizes just by trading crypto. Once again, check it out. Second link below the video. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, right now the Bitcoin dominance is obviously playing out a shorter term bullish move, but still just in a choppy sideways price range, obviously bouncing around very sideways here on the price chart, which means continue to expect very similar price action for a lot of altcoins as to what Bitcoin is doing. So nothing's really changed here over the last 1 day. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, it's the same story here for Ethereum on the 3-day chart as what I've been saying for Bitcoin on the 3-day chart. Obviously the price action looks almost identical here. And so I'll just repeat the same prediction I've been saying every day for weeks now, which is most likely choppy sideways price action still to come, playing out this oversold signal over a period of weeks, which obviously over the last couple of weeks has been perfectly playing out exactly as predicted. But keep in mind, we're still in the larger multi-month bearish trend. We've not yet fully confirmed the end of this trend. So this is just a shorter term relief, kind of like what we saw just here, at least as of right now. And if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum price chart, right now the price is still bouncing around between support and resistance. So we still have this level, Fibonacci level of support, sitting at just above 1.8k. We also have a bit of short-term support at give or take 1910 to 1920, and we have a lot of resistance at just above 2.1k, especially closer towards 2150. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 4-hour Ethereum price chart, right now, as I've recorded in this video, the price of ETH is forming a new price pattern that we need to pay attention to, which is known as a descending triangle pattern. And so as we can see here, we have relatively horizontal support, relatively horizontal lows. Meanwhile, we have descending highs. We have a descending line of resistance. Obviously, we have descending highs between these two highs. And also, if we follow the same line right here, but drag that over towards these highs, we have the pretty much exact same descending line of resistance here. And so what this price structure technically tells us is that we're seeing increasing sell pressure, because rather than, for example, Ethereum holders or Ethereum traders letting the price bounce up towards these higher levels, every little bounce that we see is getting smaller and smaller, which means sellers are more and more eager to just get rid of their Ethereum, sell Ethereum at slightly lower and lower prices each time. So once again, increasing sell pressure. Meanwhile, we're seeing stagnant buying pressure. The buyers are not growing momentum. And now, as always, no guarantees, but this type of price structure, a descending triangle pattern typically breaks towards the downside. In fact, roughly 2/3 of the time, statistically speaking, roughly 2/3 of the time a descending triangle breaks towards the downside, and about 1/3 of the time it breaks towards the upside. So obviously a breakout towards the upside is possible. It's not impossible, but that's just simply the less likely scenario. And so keep that in mind. Obviously right now, not looking too good in the shorter term. And of course, the longer term also is still in the much larger multi-month bearish trend for Ethereum. And right now, this line of support is sitting at just above 1.9k, so especially around 1920 as a key level of support to pay attention to. And as for resistance, this massive descending line of resistance here from these highs is sitting at just above 2000, around 2050 currently. And this descending line of resistance in the immediate short term is sitting at just under 2000, around 1980 to 1990. And if we're taking a look at the technical price target based on this descending triangle pattern here, if we're measuring out the measured move for the triangle pattern, if we first confirm a break towards the downside, I want to make this clear, we've not yet confirmed a break. And as always, if we break and then break out back towards the upside below the point of the break towards the downside, that would invalidate the pattern and invalidate the price target towards the downside. But if we actually confirm the break towards the downside with multiple 4-hour candle closes confirming below around 1920 and especially below 1.9k, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, the technical price target for this bearish price pattern would be sitting at just above 1.7k, around 1730 to 1740. And so if we're measuring from the point of the break towards the downside to that price target, that's about a 9 to 10% move down, and that's with no leverage. So for example, a 10x leverage shorts position would be almost a 100% profit, almost doubling your money in this example. Once again, not financial advice, and once again, it's not yet actually confirmed. And so that's just pointing out an example of how to make money even if the price ultimately plays out more bearish price action. Obviously, the beginners make the mistake in thinking that a bear market or crash or correction or whatever you want to call it is bad news for crypto, and there's no ways to make money during all of this bearish price action right here. But that cannot be further from the truth. You can still make a lot of money in crypto if you know what you're doing, using things like shorts positions, for example, to actually profit along the way towards the downside if you can spot potential opportunities like this before they start playing out. And so once again, not financial advice, but if you want to take advantage of any trading opportunities in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges to take advantage of massive bonuses. But with that being said, taking a look at XRP on the weekly time frame, and right now the price of XRP is once again testing this crucial area of support that we need to pay attention to, sitting in between around $1.30 to $1.40. So continue to expect support in this region. But if the price of XRP confirms a break with especially a weekly candle close below $1.30, especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, it would be extremely likely we'll see a move down towards around $1.13 based on this retracement level and also this local low here. And if we break below that level, in that situation, the next massive point of support or price target towards the downside would be sitting in between 90 cents to $1. So yes, that is right. We could potentially see a move below $1 if we first confirm a break below $1.30 to $1.40. And obviously, in terms of the larger trend, we're technically still looking very much bearish, as I've been saying every day since almost all-time highs. You can even check my videos that I posted all the way back in end of July, early August 2025, when the price of XRP was above $3 at close to all-time highs, calling for this multi-month collapse still to come, when pretty much no one else out there was saying that. So overall, I'm still saying the same thing as I said back then, which is still bearish on the larger time frames. But keep in mind, in the shorter term, from time to time, we can see little bounces and things like that. It's not going to be a straight line down. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day XRP RSI, obviously we have been playing out an oversold signal in this 3-day XRP RSI for the first time since the middle of 2024. But obviously, even though I've been predicting this slight little bullish relief playing out in the shorter term over a period of days or possibly weeks, keep in mind, this does not mean we've hit the bottom if we're talking about the larger trend we're in. So for all we know, this is just another short-term bounce, a short-term little relief during the larger bearish trend, kind of like what we saw just here, for example. And so don't be fooled by short-term reliefs that we're seeing at the moment, because overall the larger trend is technically still bearish. We've not yet confirmed the end of that trend. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the 3-day time frame, it's basically the same story here for Solana. The larger multi-month trend still technically bearish, but just in the shorter term for a period of weeks, we're playing out this oversold signal in the 3-day Solana RSI, bouncing and holding from this area of support, still sitting in between $75 to $80. So obviously nothing's really changed here for Solana. It's all still perfectly playing out exactly as I've been predicting. So continue to expect the same predictions to play out. I won't be repeating myself in this video, but if we're taking a look at Chainlink on the 3-day time frame, it's also the same story here for Chainlink. Multi-month bearish trend playing out a shorter term relief, bouncing from support, playing out an oversold signal over a period of just weeks. But remember, if we're talking about multiple months, overall, we're not in the clear yet. We're still looking very bearish in the larger trend. And as for support, we still have a lot of support in this region, sitting in between around $7.90 to $8.50. And it is looking likely that soon we could retest this area. But if ultimately we actually break below that area, with especially daily candle closes or 3-day candle closes, in this case on the 3-day time frame, confirming below around $7.90, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, flipping it into resistance, in that situation, we could possibly see a move all the way down towards around $5 to $5.50 as the next significant area of support towards the downside, if once again we first actually confirm a break below around $7.90. And so that's still the situation for Chainlink and all of the rest of the crypto market right now. Not a lot changed over the last one day once again. And remember, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to take advantage of massive bonuses only available using those links to certain exchanges. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing here, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen, because the video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.